This is not going to be the best quality video because I'm not sitting down and filming it, but I just picked up a Target order drive up, so I figured on my way home I'll just take the back way home and I'll tell you guys a little story. Today's video is going to be about get out of the parking lot, I'm trying to be safe. It's going to be all about how I found out that I was pregnant again. I know what you might be thinking. Isn't your daughter like 10 months old? Yeah. And I'm pregnant again. So how did this happen? I told you guys that I was planning on formula feeding my daughter from the get-go, like exclusively. Well, I didn't stick with that. So what happened was I pretty much came home from the hospital after I had her, and about 3 days later, my boobs were so engorged and not going away. I tried the cabbage method. When I was in the hospital, they told me that when my milk comes in, if I really don't want to breastfeed, to go back and forth every couple hours taking Tylenol and Motrin, and that will dry up my milk and I will have no issues, and that I need to wear really tight sports bras and don't let hot water hit my boobs. So I did everything that everybody told me to do to make my milk go away, and it didn't work. So I ended up being super engorged, and I was terrified that I was gonna get mastitis. Is that what it's called? I was terrified that I was gonna get an infection. So I decided to just get a pump, and I was just gonna pump until my milk went away. Well, what happens when you pump is more milk is produced. I never had a good enough supply to like exclusively breastfeed because I didn't start from day one, and I did all those things to like make my milk dry up. So pretty much I could only pump like 1 ounce or 2 ounces at a time. And I would feed her my pumped milk and then top it off with formula. So I was like doing combo feeding, kind of. Well, anyway, when I went for my 6-week postpartum checkup, they asked me if I was breastfeeding or anything, and I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh, okay. So when I asked about birth control, this doctor told me that I could not get on any birth control today and to come back when I'm done breastfeeding. So no, I was not one of those stupid people that thought that breastfeeding was a form of birth control and that I couldn't get pregnant if I was breastfeeding, but I definitely thought that my chances were lower if I was breastfeeding and also using the pull-out method. Also not one of those people that really keeps track of my cycles. Like, I know when my period's due and I know when it's late, and that's about it. I don't know when I ovulate. Other than that, I don't know anything about my cycle. I don't feel when I'm ovulating. Nothing like that. So I think that I got my first postpartum period in February, might have been January, and everything was normal, whatnot. It came in the beginning of the month. It lasted a couple days. It was awful, but whatever. I started my periods back up again. So then I had another period in March 4th, I got my period again. So once again, the beginning of the month, it lasted a couple days, everything was normal. It sucked, but it was normal. April comes around, and I don't get my period. So I was 5 days late when I finally realized that I'm late. I didn't get my period. But I still didn't think too much into it. I didn't freak out or anything because I had no symptoms of pregnancy. I was like, you know, my daughter just turned 4 months old the 22nd of March. It's the beginning of April now. Maybe my hormones are still out of whack. Like, she's still really young and my body could just be still adjusting to all these changes and whatnot. And maybe my period just decided that it wants to come at the end of the month this time instead of the beginning, right? Before I even missed my period with Eliza, I had symptoms. I had sore boobs, I was overtired, I had nausea, I was emotional, I had so many symptoms that were pointing towards pregnant, you're freaking pregnant, and I had none of those this time. So I did have 2 little things that should have been my red alert of like, something's not right here. So around the time that I must have gotten pregnant in March, Eliza decided that she did not want to breastfeed anymore. It was just an overnight thing. Like, she was perfectly fine the one day, and then the next day she was like, nope. And she never breastfed ever again. She wanted nothing to do with it. And I was like, that's strange, but maybe she wants formula instead. Like, I don't have a perfect diet. Maybe my milk is gross or something. So I didn't really question that much. But looking back, that was kind of weird. And then my second thing was I was watching SpongeBob. Yes, of all things. I was watching SpongeBob with Eliza. But it was the episode where Squidward had to put together a band and he couldn't put together a band and everybody in Bikini Bottom sucked. But then they surprised him and it was like the Super Bowl episode and they like killed it, right? Everybody know what I'm talking about? I'll insert a picture. I was watching that with Eliza and I bawled my eyes out. I was just so emotional. I was like, they all came together for Squidward. They did such a good job. Like, they made him so proud, and like, this is what friendship is all about. But again, I didn't think too much into it. I was like, maybe I'm just being a weirdo that is emotional about SpongeBob now. I don't know. So, like I said, I didn't really think about those 2 things, but they were things that happened that looking back, I'm like, duh. But like I said, I wasn't tired, I wasn't nauseous, I guess I was kind of emotional, but that was about it. Like, I had no symptoms, no sore boobs, nothing, literally nothing. If I didn't miss my period, I literally would not have taken a test, like. So I ended up talking to my older sister about that I missed my period, but I didn't think that I was pregnant. I was just like, I missed my period, like, I'm late, but and I wish that I could find the messages. I scrolled through for like half an hour this morning trying to find like messages that I could screenshot of me and her talking about this, but my messages only go back to May, so sorry. If I remember correctly, I was just like talking to her about it, like, yeah, well, I don't really think that I'm pregnant because I don't really have any symptoms, but I am late for my period. Like, how funny would that be? The next day, I kind of casually told Colin that I was like 5 or 6 days late for my period. Mind you, me and Colin have never had one of those funny, like, pregnancy scare moments. We've never had that. Like, my pregnancy scare that I had, I was pregnant with Eliza. We have never gotten to experience that, haha, I think I'm pregnant, let's take a test, and we're scared to death, and then it comes out negative, and we're like, whoo, I don't know, I'm just late for no reason. We've never had that. I thought that this was going to be me and Colin's little, like, scare, right? Like, every couple gets a scare, and I thought this was going to be ours. So I told him, like, I'm like 5 or 6 days late for my period. He was like, do you think you're pregnant? And I was like, no, but let's just get a test, just to see. Neither of us, like, thought that I was pregnant. I just didn't have any symptoms or anything that made either of us think that I was pregnant. So I go to Dollar General and I decide that I'm going to pick up 3 boxes of pregnancy tests. The little dollar ones. No big deal. And the cashier that rings me out just so happens to be somebody that knows about Eliza. Like, she saw me throughout my whole pregnancy because this is like the dollar store that's right down the street from me. So she saw me through my whole pregnancy. She saw me buying a bunch of freaking pads and witch hazel after I had her. She saw it all. So when I brought these pregnancy tests up to the counter, she was like, what? And I was like, I don't think that I am. Like, I'm just trying to be responsible. These freaking pregnancy tests home, and I'm like, I'm like 5 or 6 days late. If I'm pregnant, it's gonna come up. I'm just gonna go take these tests. So I give Eliza to Colin, and I go in the bathroom. And once again, just like with Eliza, I had no feeling whatsoever that these tests were going to come back positive. Not a thought in the world. I literally thought that this was going to be me and Colin's little, like, scare. Like, oh my gosh, can you imagine that? Like, look, we have a baby sitting right there. Can you imagine if I was pregnant? So I pee in a cup, and I put the little drops in the test, just like last time. And the same exact thing happens as last time. And, the test line comes up before the control line. Oh my God, no. We are not doing this again. And I was like, oh no. Oh, we are not doing this again. Yes, we were. Literally the same exact thing happened. I was so freaking shocked. This time I just laughed because I literally had a baby that just turned 4 months old in the other room. And I was like, this is a joke. This is, no, like, what? It took Colin a day to not become okay with this news. Colin, like, yesterday, when I took the test and I was just like, oh, like, it's actually positive. He, like, needed a day, but he's fine now, and I'm fine now. After it set in, after a day, it was just kind of like, now what? I will say, though, I never, ever, 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 ever saw myself being the person that has kids 12 months apart. My daughter is 10 months old, and I am due December 9th. Which means that my daughters are going to be 12 months apart. I don't know if that counts as Irish twins or anything, but that's freaking close. Because Eliza was born November 22nd, and this one is due December 9th. So, that's like a 2-week difference. Pray for me and send patience. It's like I just started getting used to being a mom and this mom thing, and now I have another one on the way. It's insane. I will say though, like, literally by the time Eliza was like 6 months old, I was like, no, I'm not done. Like, I at least want to give her a sibling. I don't think that I want to have 6 kids like I used to say I wanted to have, but I knew that I wanted to give her a sibling. Like, I knew that she can't be an only child. I want her to have at least one other person to play with. I just didn't know it was going to be this soon, so I'm happy about it. And I also was not intentionally hiding this from anybody. I would have loved to tell you guys months ago, but Colin was afraid to tell his mom, so I had to wait for him to tell his mom before I could share it with you guys, because I thought that would be super rude for me to just like post it on YouTube, like, oh, how I found out I was pregnant again, and then she sees it and is like, what? So I did not want to do that, so that is why it has taken me so long to say anything. I was really scared for a minute there that I was literally going to be posting another labor and delivery story and have a lot of people confused because he did not tell his mom until I had the baby. I was really scared that that was going to happen, but I'm happy to say that it didn't. He told her, so we're all good now. Oh, that being said, I am 31 weeks pregnant. So definitely stay tuned for a labor and delivery story of baby number 2 in a couple months, because I'll be making one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I just got home. I'm gonna get Eliza out of the car because the sun is in her face and she's gonna freak out. That is the story of how I found out that I was pregnant again. I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!